let's start up. Other people can join in as they come along. Like I know we've got quite a bit of content we want to cover for the morning. So yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on a Monday here. Another fine Monday in August. We are currently on the third of our 5 parts series. So I'm extremely excited to have F5 with us this morning to present and talk a little bit about security. And then for tonight, as with before, 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you have the time available, please join us. Tonight is virtual beer tasting, and if you remember from the whiskey tasting last week, Fiona has challenged me. She's more of a whiskey. She's not so much a whiskey person, but she had an open mind. I'm not so much of a beer person. So tonight is going to be my turn to be objective and come and try things out. So, but again, just format for the day here. As always, please share any questions. It is a type, so you type the questions in. It'll come either to myself or to Mackenzie as the host. And we'll make sure we get that asked. If it's something that you want to park towards the end, that's fine too. But Jason has indicated that he's more than happy to keep it nice and interactive. So anything that comes up to mind, let us know. Also, if you have any other further questions, please reach out to your CDW account manager. Or by now, we're starting to get to know each other. You have your on here. Like, don't hesitate. You're always welcome to reach out to myself or Mackenzie as well, and we can help answer any questions that you may have. So one of the great things about a 5-part series is I don't have to do all the marketing slides every time. We covered them in depth. So the good news is I click through these rather quickly and just highlight a few items. They will be shared and made available to everyone. So if you haven't seen these before, you're more than welcome to click through at your heart's content and let us know if you have any questions for us here. The big one here is just this is for CDW, the Great White North. It's been really fantastic to sort of get to know people across the country here that's joining us on these sessions and for input, and to get to know people a little bit better. We've covered this one here. So this is the other slide I normally want to just stop a second on again. You've seen this one a few times now, but prepare, defend, respond. This is critical for us as F5 and Jason talks through this morning. There's elements of the solution that it's important to have that prepare element in place, and then you can actually take action accordingly on the defend and respond side. So F5 is one of those partners for us that actually covers all 3 of these tiers very, very well and in good depth. So that is really, really key and critical to us. We talked about the security study in the past as well. Again, a lot of the items here go around infiltrations, people testing, exfiltrating data, stealing credentials, and so much of that attack comes from really what we list as insider threat as one of the top threats. But the reality is it's not just about the insider threat. It's about that concept of somebody that gets past your credentials, past the defenses, and get inside, right? And you'll hear Jason talk a lot about what F5 is doing to help prevent that and help to keep some of these automated and AI attacks off of the wire for us that concerns people. So again, you get to get the fast forward version here. I will touch base on this here for a second. The risk advisory overview. Again, a lot of the elements that we're going to talk about today has to do with data security, user-based security, understanding your attack surface. And if you're not familiar with that, or if you have questions or you have concerns around actual data classification and data policies and how that's being used, this is an area where we typically see a lot of work with our risk advisory team that helps customers understand their attack surface and where that data lives, flows, and what the actual risk and impacts are to each of these. A full service matrix here, good news. Not going to walk you through all of these. F5 is just well represented throughout these. When you look at application security, different forms of intelligence, network monitoring, visibility, right? So all across the board here, F5 is very well represented and been a significant partner for us. And then more importantly, we're going to hop over here. So why F5 and CDW? Like I said, #1 partner in Canada. We're a platinum partner with F5 and 2018 partner of the year. Now the partnership actually goes back to the beginning. Sorry about that. Let's catch my slide automation there. The partnership actually goes back to the beginning of back into pre-CDW when they acquired scalar that we've always been very close to F5 on that one there. And apparently there's a timer on this slide that Darcy has surprised me with. So anyway, I'll flick back to another one here. Just stop there for a second. Apologies to that, everyone. But basically, I'll just leave it in this mode here for one quick second. For what CDW and F5, like it's been a journey for us with F5 that has crossed over time, all the way from load balancing, LTMs, APMs, where we had application gateways and was really at the front end of the network, and then with the acquisition of NGINX, and as that has moved forward in Shape Security, this has been really, really key for us, and you'll hear the story expand and as F5 has adopted and grown with the market to keep current for customers. One of the big things for me too that excites me is I get to have one of the seats on the North American Program Advisory Committee with F5, which means I get to go and hear all the vision and the things they're working. And it's really fun when you get to see how your partners are innovating and making sure that they're staying current with the market space and what we have and what our customers need. Now, this morning here, we have Jason Lang. So Jason has close to 20 years of experience in large network and security solution environments. Jason is a senior solutions engineer for Shape Security, part of F5. And he also works as a trusted advisor to numerous large institutions, service providers, retailers. So Jason really has a good understanding of how a lot of these organizations are dealing with threats and sort of some of the things that they're facing today. So prior to joining Shape, Jason had 10 years with Arbor Networks. So again, a lot of experience on that DDoS front, on that understanding what the attack surface on the internet looks like for organizations. And then also 8 years at Bell Canada. So a deep understanding of how the actual fabric is put together that provide access and connectivity to these customers. So with that, Jason, welcome on board. Thank you for this. And I'm going to hand the reins over to you.
Great. Thanks a lot. Pleased to meet everyone virtually today. I am here to talk about how you can stay safe on the digital experience we're all in the midst of here, especially in the light of COVID, and we're probably tired of hearing that. So that's the last time I'm going to mention it. If you take one thing away from today's webinar, it's that Shape is here to provide an outcome. We help make your lives easier by eliminating a ton of the noise that you're possibly inundated with today through a variety of your systems. And we're doing this in quite a large swath of customers here in North America. So 40% of the business to consumer Fortune 500 brands, that can be financial, airline, hospitality, retail, pretty much across the entire gamut, these customers of ours, we are solving this problem of advanced automation and the downstream impacts of that, which are fraud. The whole reason there's automation in many cases on a particular website is because there's some type of latent value behind the login portal, behind the gift card balance check, behind the checkout flow. And with that in mind, we're really here as a complement to the F5 solution set and every other vendor as well. We're not a WAF. We are protecting the application from its intended use by bad actors. And this is why it was a strategic acquisition by F5. We're very often deployed behind an F5 big IP LTM load balancer as sort of a transparent, behind the scenes, fully programmable reverse proxy. So we're able to uniquely respond to unwanted traffic and actually remove it from that traffic flow. And the downstream effect of that is we'll help make your lives easier. We're providing an outcome. We're going to make you a hero in the organization. You're really going to become a champion of what you can deliver to the, your senior exec team by having Shape in your environment and joining, again, that top 40% of the Fortune 500. We'll talk a little bit about Shape's history. We've been around about 7 years. Why that's important isn't so much of the fact that we are ingrained in the advanced ecosystem of JavaScript. Most of the bot solution vendors all rely on JavaScript to do something on the client side. we're no different in that regard, but we are very actively involved in the definition of JavaScript itself. So Brendan Eich created JavaScript. The formal definition is EMCA script. And in 2019, last year, 5 of the top 9 brand new features came from Shape. We are absolutely deep understanding of how JavaScript works, and we submit ideas and concepts that help make what we do all the more optimal and better secure. And then at the end of the day, really what Shape is a data science company. We have AI and machine learning pipelines, probably tired of those words too, but it's true. We have the #1 AI patents in the world. And we really take that to heart, and we leverage that in our solution set. And what do we do at the end of the day? We're preventing unwanted automation, but the reason the automation is there is because of fraud. There's some type of value behind the login. We have very, very large deployment in the financial sector. But interestingly, banks, as you guys are more than well aware, they've been in the security business for years. They've spent billions of dollars securing the front door, whereas many other organizations like retail, hospitality, and travel sites, especially the new quick service restaurants, the mobile ordering, they haven't generally spent as much time or money or resources on defending their infrastructure. And interestingly, Shape sees across our customer base, the most complicated threat actors target quick service food restaurants and loyalty programs, especially grocery loyalty programs. So at the end of the day, people need to eat. And if I can launch an attack, take over someone's account and buy food on their behalf, and I get to enjoy it, then I win. And in today's climate, that's very, very, very attractive from an attacker. Now, the different types of attack surfaces that you might be seeing, and that we certainly see, is again where I keep mentioning if there's something of value. So you might want to look at your web server logs and understand specifically on things like the login page. Is there a ton of traffic, orders of magnitude higher than you would expect in your particular vertical for the number of people here in Canada, right? There's 37 million Canadians. Are you seeing 30 million login events a week? That's not normal. And if you're seeing something like that, that is a really good leading indicator of a possible attack. We also see automation against password reset flows, trying to take over accounts, gift card balance check. We've all heard the news, particular retailer, someone complains to one of the news outlets that they bought this gift card at Christmas time. They spent a few months, they forgot about it, somewhere in the drawer, they dig it up, and they go to the store to use it, and they find out, unfortunately, that the money's already gone. That happens because there's automation against the gift card balance check. As soon as you get a valid number and PIN, they transact that money right away. Even checkout flows on retail sites where they're invalid card number testing or brute force testing of the credit card details, or maybe testing stolen credit cards by the tens of thousands. That can cost you a lot of money. The customer's not buying anything. Automation is being used to test stolen credit cards. And all of a sudden, if you're the retailer, you're on the hook for the $150,000 worth of charges at the end of the day by the merchant bank, because 20 cents a card, a couple 100,000 cards, that adds up very quickly. So all of these attack vectors are usually done through automation. A variety of different toolkits, scripting, all exists with a lot of built-in features to bypass some of the rudimentary controls that are out there. You've probably seen the Google reCAPTCHA where you have to pick the bridges or the bicycles or the stop signs. The reality is that is not effective. It is inexpensive to deploy relatively, but not really effective. It's easily bypassed. CAPTCHA bypass features are built into quite a number of attack toolkits. And there's even some interesting studies published where if you queue up all your requests and then send a whole bunch of them at once, you can actually cause a race condition in the reCAPTCHA service and have it just allow everything through. So it's not really that effective. But what we see as a downstream is that once the account's been validated, then the human fraudster takes over. And this can take effect in local resources, manually logging into your bank or a particular loyalty program, using credentials that were either validated through automation, validated through a phishing site or phishing lure, where the customer offered up those particular credentials, or maybe they're literally taking advantage of some sort of marketing promotion that was put out by your organization, where if you sign up and you put some money in the account and then you refer a friend, all of these can be abused, right? So we're here to talk about how can we protect from the latent abuse of your application through the methods that it was designed to offer your customers. Now, why do we have this problem? In CISO Weekly magazine, the number one threat in 2020 is credential stuffing. And what that is taking a list of known email addresses and passwords, usually from previous breaches, and just trying them one after another against your login. Statistically, 0.1 to 3% of any randomly large list will result in success. And the sad reality is that quite a number of users, according to Google, over 52% of users reuse passwords on multiple sites. I'm guilty of it too, certainly things that I don't care about, but I do use a password manager, and most of the secure information is unique. But there's certainly things that are throwaway, and I've been in security for over 20 years. So to me, I know to use a unique password for everywhere, but sometimes I just can't be bothered. The regular John Q public is certainly not going to the extent that we all are here on this meeting today to talk about the password security perspective. So this is a huge problem. And where Shape really excels and how we can help you solve these problems in your organization is to first and foremost fundamentally answer the question, are you automation or are you human? And we do it in a way that is completely transparent. There's no picking a stop sign. There's no user prompt. There's no second factor authentication challenge. We're completely capable of eliminating automation, and we feel that we're the best in the world at that. At the end of the day, providing a guarantee that very, very little traffic, less than 1% of traffic, bypasses our bot or not decision. And then the interesting avenue, really, exciting for me actually, is once you've solved the bot problem, what can you then do with the leftover human traffic? We can answer some very compelling questions on the fraud side, where all we have left really is the human transaction data that then, like I said before, we're a data science company. So we can mine through that data, your data, and give you a real-time indicator per transaction as to whether that's particularly fraudulent or not. Now you might say, well, Jason, I already have 12 different fraud tools, and I think I'm good in that regard. But the problem is that if you're not sufficiently weeding out the automation up front, those fraud tools are not giving you the most accurate data. And a lot of them charge per investigation. So per transaction coming in, you're paying per transaction. If we can eliminate 95, 99% of the noise, your per transaction cost of your fraud tool goes down and the fraud tool's effectiveness goes up. So that's really what Shape is designed to do. And this is what a credential stuffing attack looks like. How do I know if I have an automation problem? If you graph your web server logs and you see a pretty consistently horizontal bar with a few spikes here and there, that is not normal. There's definitely automation in there. You should see a very commonly easy to identify day-night pattern that's representative of how we all do business, right? We go to sleep at night and we get up during the day. If you don't see that very evident up-down pattern in the traffic, then you absolutely have an automation problem. And we see that here. The green is sort of foreshadowed here in the back, but this big scary red stuff is all automated traffic. And this is from January 2019, quite some time ago. And we see a peak here at 17 million login attempts per hour. This is something that we do all day, every day. ShopShape blocks over 3 billion automated attacks per day. We don't talk about it. It's just what we do. It's not newsworthy. Maybe we just don't have time to blog about it. But honestly, this is what we're really good at doing. And a little tip for you, if you want, is you can try to measure the success versus failure rate of your login traffic. If you're not doing that today, that's a very good quick thing that you could do in Splunk, perhaps, where you can take the response code or the location header, however your application works, and measure what the rate of good transaction login successes look like compared to failed. If you don't have more than 70% success, you absolutely should give us a call. We can help make your life a lot easier. And you think, well, I have a WAF. It's got rate limiting. It's got some bot signatures. I think I'm good. 4 years ago, I would agree with you, but now things have changed. There's botnets are prolifically deployed around the world, and this is an attack of an actual customer, where a banking customer actually here in Canada, where they had a public outage on the particular dates involved. This was a number of years ago, but we can see here that the automated traffic is spiking almost at 2 million events per time interval here, which I believe is a, let's see here, every hour, right? So 2 million logins per hour. This is a Canadian financial institution. This is not normal. And the yellow is the automation that we've identified as part of a Shape deployment. We deployed this customer in less than 48 hours over a long weekend to solve this problem for them. And the red here is us going into mitigation mode and blocking the traffic on behalf of the attacker, and leaving the good human traffic for that particular bank. And the key here is that almost 300 million posts coming from a wide array of internet IP addresses, and interestingly, 78 million apparently different browsers. That is not normal. There's a couple hundred user agents at best that are probably connecting to you legitimately. There are not hundreds of thousands or millions of different user agents active in your application. If you're tracking that, that's also something you could look at. Graph the number of user agents coming in. If it's more than a couple hundred, you absolutely have a problem. So signature-based WAF or rate limiting based WAF or blocking by IP, unfortunately, is just no longer effective. And if you're trying to do this, we call this WAF whack-a-mole. It's just not effective, and Shape can absolutely solve this problem for you. So over 90% of login traffic across almost all of our customers is automated or bot-based. And so where Shape really starts is with our Shape Enterprise Defense solution to block that unwanted automated traffic. We are an outcome-based managed service. Very quickly, we can spin up our infrastructure. We're very cloud friendly. We're a fully managed service, so we take care of everything. If you think you have a problem, we can certainly come and help you deploy that, and we'll work with our partners like CDW and F5 to get that deployed. Many times in an architecture agnostic solution, we'll spin up the infrastructure that we need in our cloud, and all we need you to do is really book a maintenance window to deploy it. And at the end of the day, this is what your traffic will look like when you're on the Shape network. Clean, green human traffic. Less than 1% unwanted automation. We're not perfect. Nothing is. Stuff does get past us, but we have contingencies in place. So as I said at the top, we're a data science first company. So there are machine learning pipelines that are ingesting all of the traffic for every single customer, good and bad, and then applying various heuristics to that to understand if there's something new that we haven't seen before or we haven't seen before in that particular vertical, that we can then convert into a protection control point. So this is that same customer as 2 slides ago, where the big scary yellow and red. This is their traffic earlier this year. This is a combination of both web, mobile, and their API machine-to-machine traffic. Of note, if you close a door on web, so let's say they'll, attackers have a return on investment too. They don't want to spend all their time and effort. If you leave the front door open, they're going to come through the front door. If you close the front door, they're going to come in the side door or the window, almost sometimes even within hours, but usually within days, where we call it retooling. They're going to change their tactic. They're going to inspect maybe how your mobile application works, and they're going to come in that door. So it's really important that you offer the protection everywhere possible in order to not let bad actors in. So once your traffic looks like this, and this is what we do for all of our customers, and we can do for you, the benefit of this for you is you're no longer fighting this fight. We are doing this on your behalf, and in many, many cases, the return on the investment of Shape is often met during the POC. We don't have a 7 or 8 or 9 month ROI. Our ROI is usually measured in a matter of weeks to less than 2 months. And at the end of the day, it's important to understand what an account takeover costs. There's a question here. Can I explain let me just check here. 90% being fake. Right. So it really depends on the vertical. So in banking, that percentage of automated traffic is usually 30 to 60%. But in some of the other organizations, retail specifically, quick service restaurants specifically, that traffic rate of automation is much, much higher. We did a trial here in Canada with a quick service burger chain whose headquarters is out in Vancouver, and 99.987% of their login traffic is automation. 99.87%. You can't even see the human traffic. And the reason it's there is because it costs almost nothing to launch an attack. But if I get into an account, I can eat for free on that person's credit card because it's already stored. And that's the thing we see. If you're in travel and hospitality, you're getting cold searches against your inventory in retail, maybe your product inventory. You might be getting inventory of flights and hotels when that happens, right? Inventory lockout, special promos. There's a ton of traffic that's automated. And so we're really here to solve that problem for you and really deliver that outcome of eliminating bots and unwanted automation. So that's Shape Enterprise Defense. And you're like, but Jason, you haven't talked about how I stay safe. And this is where it's coming next. So when we have that clean, green human traffic, what can we do with that? We can do a lot of things. One thing that we can do is really look for the malicious human traffic. And in many, many cases, this is being done by click farms in other countries, where they're very cheap labor for them to take those harvested phished credentials, for example, and they just log in account after account after account. And it's sort of interesting, the data that Shape has behind the scenes, some of our telemetry that we collect, which by the way is completely anonymous. There's no PII or anything in the data that we gather. It's all gathered signals from our JavaScript. But what we see for the fraudsters, for example, is they have like 26 different tabs open. We don't see what the tabs contain, but we see that their browser window is squished into like a weird portion of the screen, and the mouse keeps moving off, and then they come back and they're pasting in the username, and then they come off, and then they paste in the password 100% of the time. Clearly, if we see that activity, that's not how I bank. I don't copy and paste my credentials into my bank information when I log in. I use a password manager, but it's not doing copy paste. It's using an API call behind the scenes within the browser to inject that into the form. So we see that type of behavior, and in real time, we can interject and advise to perhaps block that fraudulent transaction. And so this is what we call the Shape AI fraud engine. It's taking the signals that the Shape solution, just by blocking the bots, by taking the same signal data that we're getting back from killing the automation, we're getting that information about the human traffic and then overlaying a fraud perspective on that. So depending on the vertical, right, this is that what I talked about before, that particular burger chain where we saw a credential stuffing attack. And let's say, hey, well, I don't have a lot of my customers. They don't store the card number. Maybe only 10% of those customers have stolen credit card or saved credit card information rather in their profile. I mean, that's okay. But if we're taking a few million usernames and passwords and credential stuffing you for a few hours, anywhere from 0.3 to 3% of those will be successful, which at the end of the day is a few thousand accounts per day are going to get validated in an attack. If only a couple percent of those have a stored credit card, that's at least one a day that I can now go eat for free. So as a downstream of that, the credit card, card not present fraud tools, and there's a large number of them, they don't catch this kind of traffic. They're looking for, 4 suspicious transactions on the same card. They're not looking for a bunch of different stolen cards used from the same phone or the same device. And Shape can absolutely, disrupt this particular fraud scheme. And we're doing this, for example, with a major North American Mexican burrito restaurant that I can't name, but definitely, we're solving fraud for them to the tune of more than $50,000 in a 3-day weekend. We're identifying stolen credit card fraudulent transactions through their online ordering system that we're bypassing their existing card not present fraud vendor entirely because the fraud angle is different. So that's one example in retail. Another one is fraudsters using automation or even human click farms to test stolen credit card numbers en masse. And another example, again, here in Canada, I'm citing all these Canadian examples. There was a retailer based out in Vancouver. They got a bill one month for over $100,000 from their payment provider. Nobody bought anything. They just tested several 100,000 credit card numbers. Each time that credit card number is tested costs them 21 cents. $100,000 in 1 month they had to pay. Now they worked out a deal with their payment provider to have them waive that. But this is an example where Shape, you would think, oh, well, what can Shape do here? What can F5 do for me here? We can absolutely protect the checkout flow. And I mentioned off the top that gift card balance check. They just brute force this. You can go to any, London Drugs, Shoppers Drug Mart, Rexall, Home Depot, look at the back of the gift card section, just take your phone out, take a snapshot. The first 9 digits are usually there and just randomize the rest of them and try every single combination for gift cards and prepaid Visa cards and prepaid MasterCard. It's honestly child's play. It's so easy to do. And the last thing I'd share here, this is a Canadian financial customer where their in-house tools, and I mean, they've been around for decades, right? Their in-house tools have been there for 17, 18 years. And these numbers have been normalized, but let's just say this was April and May this year. Their internal tools found, let's say, $1 million worth of confirmed fraud. So this is through their entire fraud organization. They found, let's say, $1 million. With our fraud solution, Safe, on top of it, only looking at the login. We're not even looking at the money transfer. We're just looking at login. We identified 50% more fraudulent transactions in real time that we could block with a 0.1% false positive rate. That is excellent. That's what we want to strive for in a fraud space. If we tweak that false positive rate a little bit higher, we can more than double the amount of fraud that we catch versus their in-house tool. And we're talking tens of millions of dollars a year in savings simply by deploying Shape anti-automation solution and then layering our fraud engine on top of it. And this is different kinds of fraud types, right? This could be account takeover, but it's also first-party fraud, where they might be using stolen personal information, opening up lines of credit, new mortgages, etc., and then letting it sit for the long run, and then coming in sporadically and logging in every couple days to make it look like a normal login. We call those canary accounts. We can see that really easily within our data set because we've removed all the noise of the automation, and we can do the same thing for you. So our fraud engine is able to do what it can do because it's using the best source of data, which is the clean human transaction data after we've eliminated all the bots. And the other thing that's unique about our solution is we're an outcome-based fraud solution. That is absolutely new to the industry. You give us your confirmed monthly fraud file, we will give you reduced fraud month over month. There's nothing you have to do. And this works in real time. We'll give you in the header of every request whether we think you should allow it, challenge it, review it, or drop it. And we can drop it on your behalf, again, because we're an inline proxy. Although in fraud, that's usually not, blocking fraud is not usually the way to do things. You generally deal with it on the back end. You don't let that transaction actually go through, but you make it look like it goes through on the front end so that you don't tip your hat to the attacker that you're onto them. So this is really the culmination of what the Shape platform can help you do in your business. Again, bringing Shape in will help really help you look like the champion that you are, where we're providing the outcome of solving the problem. There's a lot of different business benefits, and I'm sure depending what side of the fence you're on, if you're on the fraud side or you're on the security side, they don't always see eye to eye. But there's different business benefits and silos that Shape can help cut through all that. And we do very, very well at the executive level within a particular organization. Most of our customers are through referrals. Of people moving around between organizations and saying, Shape did really great things for me when I was at this particular company. I've now changed jobs. I'm going to bring Shape in and be a hero again, and just keep, improving your own career path. And that's really what we can do and help deliver that. And in closing, here's an example. Dave Eslick, if you look him up, you'll see that he went from Starbucks to a new location. And we solved this problem at Starbucks. Starbucks is a massive target for this type of traffic. If they were a bank, they'd be the 13th largest bank in the world, just based on the amount of stored value they have in their loyalty program. Everyone on the planet per capita has $5 worth of Starbucks credit, whether you know it or not. So they're a massive target for automation, and we see some of the most complex attacks again hitting them because everyone needs to eat and everyone needs to drink, and food insecurity is really a big problem now, especially with all the unemployment and COVID and all these issues that we're having. These attacks are not going away, but between F5, Shape, and CDW, we can absolutely help turn this problem around and really help you again exceed in your deliverable of what you're working on. And so, normally what we do, if there's any particular pain in your organization, we really can come in and do a very quick POC, and we can really do that. So there's a question also is, are we able to identify specific customer accounts that have been compromised, hacked, and either disable the account or notify the customer to change their password? Excellent question. We're doing a similar workflow for Canada's largest grocery retailer, which has been a longtime customer. So they've been a longtime Shape customer for a number of years, and they had an in-house team basically working behind the scenes to try and solve this exact problem. Show me all of the accounts with their loyalty program that had their credentials phished and they were being compromised, or maybe that small percentage of automation that's bypassing us, as it would bypass any automated tool. They're trying to figure out, can we tell them all the accounts that we're missing, which is like, that's kind of an interesting problem, but it turns out we actually can. So, we're not doing the notification to the customer because again, we're not collecting PII. We don't know who you are if you're logging in, right? So um, when I log into some of my banking, which is a Shape protected customer, they don't know that it's me, and it doesn't matter. So that workflow would be on the customer to implement, but we can absolutely, in the signal in real time, have something unique. So we can give you, the timestamp obviously in the IP. We can hash the username so that it's not PII, and then you can correspondingly do a similar hash on your side, and then build that into your application to do an account password reset. But remember, that's still a bit dicey because, again, 52% of users are going to pick a bad password, probably one that's already known. So this problem doesn't really go away. And that's why it's really important that you have a managed service where we're providing the protection on your behalf. The bad actors never go away. And that's really in your best interests. Of course, we're a little biased, but we just get success after success after success that we find in everywhere we go because of the fact that we're really solving this problem for you. It's very easy for you to consume our service. So if there's any interest, if you guys look at your login traffic and you see some pain, definitely reach out to us. We can be up and running in 48 hours or the POC. And again, the proof is in the pudding, obviously, but the ROI is literally measured in weeks, not months. And it doesn't really matter what the price is if we're saving you millions of dollars a year.
Perfect. Jason, we have a question from Cyrus asking, do you have any healthcare customers using the Shape solution?
Sure.
And if so, what is the use case?
Awesome. So we absolutely do, but in Canada, I would say not yet. In the United States, absolutely. In the United States, it's a very different climate where you have the privatized HMOs all competing for the customer's dollar, where they have online quoting systems. So we've seen many cases where the competition is using automation to reverse engineer the request a quote algorithm. Absolutely. But the other thing that would be applicable in Canada is just the personal information that is behind the login. Health information is very private, very personal. If that information were to be disclosed, that would be devastating to that particular individual. Maybe you wouldn't be getting employment in the future or other types of issues, your insurance claims being denied in the future. So there's absolutely immense value in protecting the login of any patient-facing health application. Absolutely. It wouldn't surprise me if that was a target. Same thing in insurance. Insurance in Canada is a lot more regulated, it seems, and there's not a ton of request a quote online, but there is absolutely, very, very juicy, personally identifiable information behind the login that is just 2-3 clicks away from an attacker. We can absolutely help in that use case.
Perfect. Thank you. Let's see, Mackenzie, any other questions?
Nope, I don't see any other ones.
Oh, perfect. Excellent. We'll give another minute or so, but I think, Jason, thank you very much. That was very, very good. I know it's been extremely interesting for me when I get to see some of the demos and some of the outputs from the actual POCs. And what is interesting is just how easy it is to spin up one of those POCs. So yeah, absolutely. If anybody's interested in seeing what that looks like, or even for a live demo, I know your technology actually demos very well as well. So if anybody's interested in that, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to get in front of you and help you set up one of those.
Yeah, but nothing's better than your own data.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's going live mode for POC, so there's no risk, there's no issue. We're not mitigating, we're just showing you what the particular issue would be. We even have some log-based analysis that we can do offline that we could work with CDW and F5 to get that as well. So we can do like an offline analysis of our solution as well. So
and sort of kind of PBR, replay the logs and have a look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, as well tonight, Matthew, like Jason won't be able to join us tonight. Matt will be on tonight from at 5. So any other questions, if you want, you can fire it over there as well, or we can get you in touch with Jason through us as well. So Jason, at this stage, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. That was really, really great. And having a fantastic Monday. And to everybody else, look forward to seeing you tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to learn the finer ins and outs of the craft of beer. So thank you, everyone. And thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.